The image was posted at 6:17 p.m. by a hiker named Leo. It showed a forest ravine shaded by old trees. On the ground, what looked like an old park ranger's hat, half covered in dirt. Beside it, bones, a human ribcage, a decayed hand, and further back, the unmistakable skull of a horse. The post was deleted 5 minutes later, but by then the photo had already been downloaded. The coordinates were traced. It was Yosemite National Park, a remote slope near the High Sierra Loop, an area known for washouts, rock slides, and almost no cellular coverage. Local authorities were alerted. The site was secured before midnight. What they found matched a disappearance from 2003. A ranger, a horse, both never found. Her name was Anna Lockheart. She was 43rd Senior Ranger, 15 years of service, familiar with every trail in that region. On July 12, 2003, she left the station just before sunrise, took a single horse, no backup, standard patrol route, routine. She never came back. Her last radio call was at 9:27 a.m. She said, quote, "I'll check that northern edge and loop back before dusk." That was it. No distress signal, no second call. When she missed the evening check-in, they sent a team, then 2 more, then a full search. For 6 days, helicopters scanned the area. Dogs, trackers, drones, rangers on foot. They found nothing. No broken branches, no tire tracks, no dropped gear, no hoof prints. It was as if she'd vanished into the trees. Her horse, a reddish gelding named Colt, was trained for rough terrain. He'd never bucked, never wandered. If something had spooked him, there would have been signs. But there weren't. After 31 days, the case was downgraded. No new evidence, no leads, no witnesses. Official cause, unknown. Status, presumed dead. Until now. The remains found in that ravine included human bones, confirmed through dental records to be Anna Lockhart's. The horse bones beside her matched Colt's breed, size, and hoof pattern. The ranger hat was still intact. Her badge was still attached. What caught investigators off guard wasn't the discovery. It was the positioning. Both skeletons were laid out, not scattered, not broken, not fallen, laid out. Colt's body was curled like he'd been placed. Anna's hand was near the brim of her hat, ribs pointing upward. None of it matched a fall or natural death. There was no cliff nearby, no signs of impact, no collapsed ground. It looked like a burial, a private one. One ranger on the scene said, "This doesn't look like where she died. This looks like where someone wanted her to be found." That single sentence reopened the case. 8 years after she vanished. The forensic report was sealed within 48 hours. Only a few lines were released publicly. Human remains confirmed as Ranger Anna Lockheart. Horse remains confirmed. No signs of major skeletal trauma. No bullet wounds. No knife marks. But there was one note in the internal memo. It said, "Linear scoring on 4th, 5th, and 6th ribs." Unusual, possibly post-mortem. That line wasn't supposed to leak, but it did. Linear scoring meant cuts, precise, shallow, evenly spaced. Not animal bites, not weathering. Something with intent, maybe a tool, maybe a blade, but clean. Too clean for 8 years of exposure. The FBI got involved 3 days later. They quietly reopened the file under suspicious circumstances. No press release, no press conference. The ranger station where Anna last checked in, High Ridge Post, was reopened for evidence review. Her logbooks were pulled. One entry stood out, dated July 11, 2003, the night before she vanished. It said, 3 hikers spotted past restricted zone. No permits, no camp setup, no ID. Said they were mapping wildlife. Something off. We'll investigate tomorrow. That entry was never mentioned in the original reports. Who were the 3 men? Why weren't they interviewed? There were no records of detainment, no radio logs about them. Nothing. Just her note. Rangers who worked with Anna were contacted again. Most refused to comment. A few were retired. One, Jason Hale, agreed to talk. He was her direct supervisor back then. He said Anna never reported those 3 men over the radio, said she wanted to check herself, quietly, that she didn't like escalating unless she was sure. But Hale said something else, too. She told me that week she thought someone was watching the trails, that things were moved when she circled back, like footprints appeared that weren't there before. That detail was never in the reports either. According to Hale, Anna believed there was some kind of activity deep off the mapped paths, something not listed. She even marked a spot on her personal topographic map. A clearing, no name, no label. That map was never found. Only a photocopy of it remained in her cabin. The marked spot was just over 3 miles from where her remains were found. It didn't match any current trail. No camps, no outposts, just trees and silence. Meanwhile, the hikers who found her, Leo and Danny, vanished from public view. They deleted their social media, left no forwarding info, but a journalist traced a forum comment made by one of them. Username, TrailGhost07. The account posted once, just once, on a hiking forum. It read, "What we saw wasn't just bones. Something was watching. We felt it before we saw it, like the woods went quiet and just listened." The post was deleted an hour later, but it matched what a few rangers had said years ago, off the record, that some sectors of Yosemite felt wrong, that compasses glitched, radios cut off, that even the birds stayed away. Some called it folklore, others didn't joke about it. What stood out now was the silence surrounding those 3 men, the ones Anna wrote about. They were never seen again. No missing persons, no IDs matching, nothing, like they never existed. So the question came up again. Was Anna Lockheart silenced? Was she getting close to something hidden? Because this wasn't a random disappearance anymore. It was staged, and someone wanted her to stay hidden for 8 full years, until the forest gave her back. But only just enough. Just her, and her horse, bones, a hat, and silence. The rest still buried. 3 days after Anna Lockhart's remains were identified, a second set of GPS coordinates quietly surfaced. They weren't sent by law enforcement. They came from a burner email to an independent journalist who had been covering the case since the image leaked online. No message, just numbers. When overlaid on the park's terrain map, they pointed to a clearing 2 miles northeast of the original site. An unmarked sector, no official trails, no foot traffic. Search and rescue was notified. A 2-man team was sent the next morning, escorted by a retired ranger who once surveyed the park's topography before GPS became standard. It took them 6 hours to reach the location on foot. What they found was a second burial. Same pattern. Bones arranged, not scattered. Shallowly buried beneath a thin layer of pine needles and old leaves. No name tag, no badge, no clothing fragments. But there was something else this time. A rusted .357 revolver. Serial number filed off. Grip engraved with a single word. Watcher. There were 3 sets of human remains. None of them matched any known missing person in the park database. The local FBI field office tried to keep the discovery under wraps. They didn't succeed. An internal leak confirmed that 2 of the 3 skeletons had fractures inconsistent with falls. Clean breaks to the femur and clavicle. 1 had 2 missing fingers. All 3 had ligature marks across the wrist bones. Execution style. Someone had tied them up, and someone had made sure they wouldn't be found. But the forest shifted. Literally. That season, unseasonal rain had caused multiple shallow slides in the area, exposing roots and sediments. What had been buried was no longer buried. The presence of 3 unknown bodies buried in a remote area near where a senior ranger was last seen alive changed everything, and it brought up a new question. Had Anna Lockheart found these men back in 2003? Was she the first to discover the site? And was she silenced because of it? Investigators returned to Anna's cabin. The original team had taken everything back in 2003, logbooks, maps, notes, but this time they searched behind the walls, literally. Inside the rear paneling, behind her bookshelf, they found a sealed envelope. Old, yellowing, taped twice over. Inside were 6 Polaroids. All were taken in the forest. One showed what looked like a canvas tent covered in netting. Another showed 3 men, backs turned to the camera, one holding a scoped rifle. No faces visible. The 5th showed something partially buried, a black duffel bag, partially unzipped. The last photo was different. It showed the tree line, faint, blurry, but in the distance there was a shape, human, but too tall, too narrow, wearing what looked like a gas mask, or something like it. No one could explain it, and no one wanted to. The photos were quietly taken by federal agents. Nothing was said publicly, not a word. But that same week, the park received an anonymous package. Inside was an old cassette tape, labeled Northline July 12, 2003. The same day, Anna disappeared. No note, no explanation. The tape was damaged, but the first 47 seconds played. It was a radio recording, crackled, garbled. But a voice was heard, definitely Anna's. She said, "Copy that, checking East Ridge now. 3 subjects moving toward ridge marker, not responding to hails. Horses nervous, marking location now." Then static. A pause, then another voice. Male, not Park Service. It said, "She spotted it." Then nothing. That was it. She spotted it. No name, no call sign, no reason for that voice to be on her channel. That piece of audio broke the case wide open internally. But to the public, the disappearance was still a solved mystery. A body had been found. That was enough. Until a former trail technician came forward, his name wasn't released. But in a recorded statement sent anonymously to 2 separate reporters, he said this: "In 2002, they opened a new route beyond the east perimeter. It wasn't on maps. We were told to install sensors and hide them under foliage. We weren't told what for, just that no one was supposed to find them. That same fall, Anna asked me why we were wiring trees. I lied. She didn't buy it. The next summer, she vanished. The sensors? Never found. The wiring? Gone. The area? Later confirmed to be exactly where the second burial site was located. So who were the men buried there? Why were they tied up? And why was Anna's horse found 1.5 miles from them, with her remains laid out like someone was making a statement? The theory emerged. Anna Lockheart found something. She took photos. She made notes. Maybe she planned to report it. But someone was listening. Someone had access to her channel. And someone got to her first. What's unclear is what Anna saw, or what those 3 men were doing out there. Were they part of something bigger? A testing operation? A surveillance team? Why would someone go to such lengths to remove their identities? No dental matches, no DNA profiles, no missing person reports. And what about the 4th man? The one with the word "watcher" carved into his weapon? Was he protecting something? Or hunting them? Anna may have left clues, but she never told anyone. She didn't trust the system. That much was clear. Her journal, recovered from a friend's garage years later, had one entry marked in red. "If anything happens to me, it wasn't the mountain. It wasn't the weather. It was something they buried out here. And I wasn't supposed to find it." That was dated July 8, 2003, 4 days before she vanished. Now 2 burial sites, 4 bodies, 1 horse, 1 ranger, and 1 final image. A ranger hat, placed upright, undisturbed. As if someone had gone back years later and left it on purpose. But why? And what message were they trying to send? To this day, the trail where Anna was last seen is closed off for preservation. No one hikes it. No one camps there. Even rangers avoid it. The last time someone tried to open it for the public, 2 park officials resigned. One wrote in his resignation letter, "The forest has roots deeper than maps, and sometimes it remembers who trespassed." Anna Lockhart's name was never cleared officially. No cause of death, no case solved. But the forest gave back her bones and kept everything else. 2 weeks after the second burial site was found, an encrypted drive was delivered anonymously to the FBI field office in Sacramento. No fingerprints, no tracking. The drive contained a single folder labeled Echo 3. Inside were 3 files. One was a JPEG image. One was an audio clip. The last was a scanned page from a field manual, heavily redacted. The image showed a ranger observation tower, one that had burned down in 1996 during a lightning strike. But the photo wasn't old. It was dated July 10, 2003, 2 days before Anna vanished. The timestamp matched exactly with the timeline of her final patrol. The strange part wasn't the tower itself. It was what stood near it. In the lower right of the photo, under the shade of a large pine, was a figure. Too tall, wearing a jacket with no identifiable logo, a bag slung across its shoulder, and what looked like a white mask or helmet with 2 round black lenses. The resolution was grainy, but the metadata on the image was clean. No edits, no traces of digital manipulation. The audio clip was even stranger. 41 seconds of distorted low-frequency noise, hissing wind, a few crackles, and then something that sounded like mechanical breathing. Not natural, not an animal. The last 7 seconds were silent, but under noise analysis, a faint human voice was detected. Female. It said, "It's watching me. It hasn't moved." Then the tape cuts. Voice analysis matched the timbre and speech pattern to Anna Lockheart. 97% certainty. The field manual page was marked Confidential, Internal Use Only, Site 9. Most of it was redacted, but one phrase stood out. All field rangers are to avoid grid 37H during unscheduled patrols. Use of radios in that zone is not advised. Monitor for interference. Do not engage with subjects unless authorized. There was no record of any Site 9 in the Yosemite Ranger Index. No grid 37H. No protocol matching the codes used. When a former NPS supervisor was contacted off the record, he refused to confirm its authenticity. But his last message before cutting communication was chilling. Some maps are meant to be incomplete. By then, too many people had seen too much. A Freedom of Information Act request was filed for Anna Lockhart's full Ranger file. The FBI denied it, citing active investigation. But the case had been labeled closed. The contradiction was noted. A second leak came in the form of a voicemail left for a former journalist who had covered the original disappearance. The caller didn't identify himself, but he claimed to be one of the last rangers who patrolled with Anna. His voice was calm, steady, not emotional, just factual. There was a trail she took that wasn't supposed to exist. It was cleared in the early 90s, ran behind the North Cliffs. No signage, no name. It was supposed to be for survey use only. But she said it led to something. He paused. She called it a listening station, said it wasn't old, said it had power. One time she came back and said the ground was humming. That phrase stuck. The ground was humming. The message ended with one final sentence. She was right. We should have listened to her. What exactly did Anna Lockheart find? A forgotten government site? An illegal operation? A test zone? Why were there no signs of resistance on her body? Only linear scoring? Why were 3 men buried nearby? And who or what was the 4th figure watching from the tree line? There was one final piece. It came from an old disposable camera found in a lost and found box at the High Ridge station. It had been logged without inspection in 2003, then sealed away when the station shut down for renovations. The film was developed quietly. Frame 7 was blurred. Frame 8 showed Anna's horse, Colt, tied to a tree. Frame 9 showed Anna, standing beside a boulder, holding her radio, expression unreadable. Frame 10, completely black. Frame 11 trees. Frame 12, zoomed, shaky, but clearly pointing toward something behind the trees. A white vertical line, thin, too straight to be natural, like the edge of a structure, and below it, barely visible, was what looked like a boot print. Large, deep, facing the camera. The timestamp on that photo? 7:13 p.m., July 12, 2003. 4 hours after her last radio transmission. The implication was clear. Anna was still alive after she'd lost contact. She'd seen something, photographed it. And whoever or whatever was there saw her too. The print faced directly toward the lens. So what happened next? No one knows. The area has since been sealed. Official reason: soil instability and fire risk. But no such alert has ever been issued before for that zone. The hikers who found her have never spoken publicly. One left the country, the other hasn't been seen since 2021. The ranger who left the voicemail? No record of his employment exists under the name he gave. And Anna? Her file remains marked active monitoring. That classification doesn't exist in standard NPS documentation. To this day, late at night, some backcountry campers report hearing strange static on their radios when they pass through certain ravines. Others report feeling watched, and a few have claimed to see something standing at the edge of the trees, not moving, not blinking, just watching. When the wind moves right, they say you can hear it breathing, and every now and then you'll find a single footprint, deep, facing the trail. No matching tread pattern, no explanation, just a sign that whatever Anna Lockheart saw out there never left, and maybe it never wanted to.